Hey everyone, Monica here, along with Denzel Washington and Mr. Meeseeks, bringing you another special edition of Educational Technology Gone Wrong, or chapters 1 through 3 of Dr. Sonny Magana's book, Disruptive Classroom Technologies. Here we are in my office at work, which, in my opinion, serves as a blazingly fine example of what exactly Dr. Magana is referring to when he talks about the problems with educational technology and its existing frameworks. Speaking of frameworks, get it? Frameworks? Just kidding. Sorry for the bad pun. However, this is a Hovercam e-glass, and our district purchased it for every classroom teacher roughly about 2.5 years ago at the purchase price of zillions of dollars. COVID funding, by the way. How many teachers currently are using this in their classroom on my campus? 0. I'm supposed to be learning it in order to be able to teach its navigation and usage to the other teachers. Guess what's not happening? Yep, you guessed right. However, this is a ViewSonic TV monitor. It's the 3rd generation, by the way, so they got it at a discount price because it's currently on the 4th generation. Anyway, so does that mean that it gets updated? Rarely. Do all teachers have one in their classroom? Yes. Do the teachers all know how to use it? Absolutely not. Another fine example of technology implementation gone wrong in the schools. So, what's the one piece of technology that the teachers can readily rely upon, that they know is tried and true and are very comfortable with? Yes, ta-da! That would be the desktop computer and the black and white laser printer. Just another fine example, once again, of what Dr. Magana refers to good-heartedly as translational, there it is. I guess it could be translational technology in his T3 framework. But in reality, the promise of hiring an instructional coach such as myself in order to be able to make our staff future ready, as my job description states, the promise has fallen flat. Dr. Magana knew this, which is why he rejected the TPAC and SAMR frameworks to create his own. And that's what we're going to talk about in my video. Dr. Sonny Magana's book, Disruptive Classroom Technologies, begins with a discussion of disruptive innovation. He introduces the book by providing definitions, background information, and then moves on in chapter 3 to his first of the 3 T3 stages. He defines disruption as a change in status quo versus current reality. I placed this graphic in here to show the attempted, unsuccessfully, Canvas staff training that I was tasked with a school year ago. And it didn't hold, it didn't work. And the reason is because disruption is generally perceived as a negative force. However, Christensen actually defines disruptive innovation as something, again, that's easy to understand, something that we already are familiar with, which makes it more likely to be adopted. However, as it manifests itself in education, it kind of becomes a novelty after a while because, again, it's not either followed up or supported for a variety of reasons. And Magana then provides the Apple II, and specifically the Oregon Trail program, as a sort of example of a successful disruptive innovation with a computer, but an unsuccessful implementation with Oregon Trail. Magana then discusses background of the effective pedagogical practices. He defines it as learning builds on previous experiences. The modern classroom learning is a social activity. It provides new content framed within meaningful experiences. It presents new content as connected, organized, and relevant, and it is enhanced by feedback and active evaluation. However, in addition to effective pedagogy, he also discusses effective technology integration, like with reliable instructional principles and strategies, leveraging those strategies, of course, the focus on student social and academic performance. A little background on where did this come from. He discusses a Prensky article from 2001 discussing the concept of digital natives versus digital immigrants. I actually read that article when it came out as an undergrad in 2001, and I remember thinking it was seriously so innovative. Wow, a new way of thinking. However, the criticism against it is that it forms a sort of techno romanticism, in the sense that Prensky believed digital natives should supersede digital immigrants, whereas critics say no, they should be working together. So much of this contains like catchphrases and keywords that we educators are so familiar with in long meetings and emails and trainings and whatnot. So we need to take all of this together, meaning what can we possibly do with it? So Magana takes it and created the T3 framework, which he, again, is a disruptive focus. We are faced with what we call wicked problems, what he calls wicked problems, meaning that the context and the constraints and even the potential solutions of the problems that we face on a daily basis constantly change. So, in order to help us along with those wicked problems, Magana takes existing frameworks, successful elements of them, contextualizes and evaluates them in order for us to address what he calls our technology bias. So he asks, some questions, and it turns out that consumers of educational technology can be value positive, which means that they think the mere presence of technology is going to solve all the world's problems. And then the opposite, value negative, which is a complete resistance to any technology whatsoever. So Magana's framework takes what he calls a value neutral approach, meaning, again, that as far as taking a look at, all of this put together, the value of another technology is actually defined by the manner in which it is, implemented. How does it support? How does it augment? So he identifies three critical learning elements: to experience new content, to build and strengthen connections between background knowledge and new content, which he took from Dewey, and of course, to be able to apply content knowledge. So before introducing his T3, he refers back to the two predominant frameworks currently being used. The TPAC, or the Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge Framework, which again gives equal value to a teacher's technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. But the problem is, what does that all mean? What does that mean in real life? Like, how does it actually apply? It's very vague and therefore very difficult. The SAMR model, SAMR, takes that idea and actually structures a hierarchy on it. But Magana's problem with the SAMR model is that it focuses way too much on the actual technology itself and not so much on the pedagogy. And clearly, Magana gives equal value to those as well, as he described in chapters 1 and 2. Hence, Magana's T3 framework: translational, transformational, and transcendent. The first stage is where the tasks completely remain the same. It's just a matter of analog becoming digital. This is by far the most common stage at which we currently find ourselves adopting educational technology. He gives an example as literally translating languages. The second stage then takes that concept but does things in new ways that completely change either the task itself or the individual completing that task. He gives an example as the evolution of human language. The highest stage goes way beyond what we consider to be normal, and he gives an example as 3D printing and makers clubs. So chapter 3 then focuses solely on the first stage, which is translational. And I decided to represent substage 1.1, automation, with my participation in a Google Classroom. And Magana then provides kind of a checklist in terms of whether or not this counts. Do Google Classrooms save time? Yes. Do they result in fewer errors? Yes. Do they increase the number of tasks that are completed at a given time? Yes. Does it improve the attributes of the final product? Yes, it does. The next stage then, 1.2 substage consumption, then takes automation, and instead of focusing solely on the final product of a task, It then focuses on the actual consumption of information in a digital medium. So, for example, Nearpod or Pear Deck. He gives many examples in the book, but then again, the checklist. Do students use digital tools to consume content related knowledge and information? Yes. Is it interactive? Yes. And again, does the consumption of information save time? Yes. So here I use the example of a Zoom, the new whiteboard feature in Zoom, because it essentially, does all of those things. So, as far as translational technology is concerned, once again, so personal to me because this is what my work entails. So, I decided to take a little element of work and include it in this video. Enjoy! So, here we are at my school's book room. Why am I saying it like that? Well, let's find out. Look how lovely this is. It truly is a book room. Oh, just kidding. No, it isn't. If you'll take a look here at our various shelves of broken or unused or unloved Chromebooks. Our district went one-to-one many years ago. What Magana refers to as high optimism but low intentionality. In other words, we're not taking care of our stuff. Let's keep moving. So, as we move through the book room, again, more books, which is, again, highly wonderful, very commendable. Love our library, love our librarians. However, here we go with, ta-da, the technology graveyard. Whatever those things are. Some broken stuff. Some printers we haven't used in about 8 or 9 years. What are they all doing here? I have no idea. But again, all this technology, which is precisely why Dr. Magana wanted to discuss the disruptive classroom technologies using his T3 framework in the first place.